This week on Beyond Stillness, Stories After Stroke, we welcome musician and author of Saigon Siren, Memoir of a Stroke Recovery. Antonio Iannella's journey through recovery became a testament to the healing power of creativity. From early sparks of inspiration in childhood to intense, life-changing challenges of rebuilding himself, Antonio found music and writing to be a refuge and a guide. Tune in to hear how Antonio transformed adversity into a renewed sense of purpose, finding hope and joy in simple moments and ultimately reconnecting with the passion that saved his life. Thank you for joining us for part 1, Antonio Iannella's story.
Beyond Stillness, Stories After Stroke is made possible by our guests and tax-deductible donations from friends and listeners like you. Join us in empowering stroke survivors with stories of wisdom, purpose, connection, and hope at www.beyondstillness.org.
Hello and welcome to Beyond Stillness, Stories After Stroke. Stroke offers a powerful, life-changing shift in perspective. Each colorful memory creates a parable for life's greater teachings, a compass for journeys ahead, and inspired wisdom for unique growth. Beyond Stillness offers a moment of pause for storytelling and reflection. Ultimately, we create a welcoming environment that reveres the moment beyond stroke's paralysis. Still moments unite humanity and divinity. I'm your host, Molly Bucola. Before we begin today, we take a moment of pause to honor the wisdom that has emerged through our own recoveries. And we give thanks. Now, Antonio Iannella's story, complete with music he composed and placed through the story himself.
I was the only kid in my class who could recite Beethoven's Symphony No. 9 all the way to the end. The music teacher's acknowledgement gave me a buzz. I was 11. And though that little shaky clarinet rendition of Ludwig's masterpiece was, what I thought, the spark that ignited my creative interests, in reflection, when I look back, I see flashes of a young boy lost in his imagination through most of his school years. I can still recall the thrill of our grade 5 drama production, the audience laughing at my comical performance. I can clearly picture myself in art class, totally engrossed in a portrait sketch, or making clothes in my mother's workshop. She was a dressmaker. You get your creativity from Mum, says my sister. However, all those tiny flashes, bright sparks, signs and signals, I failed to recognize as my calling. And it wasn't until my pointy-shoed, greasy-haired, Bill Haley and the Comets-loving music teacher moved me on, from the daggy clarinet to the street-cred saxophone, that the path to what I wanted to do with my life, music, had been laid. Let's fast forward some 27 years. I'm an adult, 38 years old, a father of 3 young daughters. We are all on an overseas adventure of a lifetime. My palms tingled and my eardrums rumbled. Odd, but I didn't give it too much thought. Little did I know it was an early warning, a preview to the main feature where I played the leading role and my family supporting roles. I grabbed our bags and stepped off the hot, sweaty bus into the face of a typical humid Vietnamese mid-morning. The gate attendee ripped our tickets in half and directed us towards a shelter to watch footage of the Vietnam War, or, as the Vietnamese like to call it, the American War. Soon after, I felt uncomfortable, excused myself, and stepped outside to get some air. I began to feel weak, dizzy, and confused. I soon collapsed, then found myself being dragged face down across the harsh gravel surface that once was the battleground of a bloody war, the American War. The tops of my toes scraped a trail into the path, my nose a foot from the ground. I was being dragged like a wounded soldier, completely oblivious to the frightening 1.5 hour ride to the manic Ho Chi Minh City, once named Saigon. The ambulance dodging, darting, weaving, and overtaking traffic at outrageous speeds in a frantic attempt to get me there as soon as possible. It was just before the long Easter weekend of 2009. My stroke had arrived on a Thursday, April 9th, one day short of Not So Good Friday, the line in the sand for Jesus. Most of Australia was preparing for 4 days of overeating amongst family members, drinking tawny port from tiny glasses and exchanging chocolate bunnies, while I lay in intensive care, completely paralysed and clinging to life. "You're very lucky, Mr. Iannella," said the doctor. "Rest up. Try not to stress." Days and nights, nights and days, overlapping, melding together. The sterile, sombre room didn't adhere to time. It set its own pace, played by its own rules. Just trying to express a few words was exhausting. I'm sure I slept a lot. I don't even recall seeing my family. All I had to carry me was a vague sense, a faint flicker in me that knew they were there, that knew my girls were waiting for Daddy to come home. The rescue flight was a blur. The hot and cold flushes made time lapse, fade away. All I remember is feeling a little more at ease, comforted by the Aussie accents of the paramedics waiting for me on the tarmac at Melbourne Airport. "G'day, mate." During my 3-month stay in rehab, I worked to regain mobility, cognition, speech, and understanding, while also reorientating thoughts about who I was and how I would fit into the world. Everything I had previously known, worked so hard to develop, had now vanished. In a blink of an eye, dynamics forever changed. Visits from my work colleagues began to painfully mirror a life suddenly hijacked, stolen, a career I loved so much, a team I felt such a part of, belonged to. I'm not even quite sure what happened during those workmate visits. Up until that point, realizing that all I had lost, being relegated to a bystander, was oh so painful. But now, as my work buddies went on and on about the stresses of our job, I suddenly felt relieved I no longer had to deal with it. And though I was only at the threshold of my recovery, still unable to walk, barely able to talk, something changed, something shifted. That flat out like a lizard drinking lifestyle that was just the norm for us all had lost its appeal, its shine no longer shining. I was beginning to imagine finding joy in simple things. I looked forward to being there to see my youngest daughter take her first steps. I envisaged myself pushing her in a pram as I leisurely walked her sisters to school, spending more time with people I cared about, and pursuing my creative interest that had since taken a back seat, put on the back burner. Simple things brought me the most happiness. These moments of simplicity and joy invited flashes of inspiration. Random ideas, thoughts and feelings flickered, and I would scribble them down in a notepad. Some positive, many not so much. Words, sentences, lyrics, nonsense. And as I lay on my hospital bed, I had an epiphany, a revelation. I was now going to have the most precious thing we all have so little of. Time. Time to do the things I loved. Time to do the things I wanted. And the very first thing I decided to do with this time, other than rebuild my health, was to complete a music project I'd been casually chipping away at for years. And though I had no clue on how I would go about this, given my present physical state, but the thrill of the idea overshadowed the hurdle of the how. And now with time on my hands and a growing self-belief, suddenly such things were a real possibility. It's possible. The excitement began to inspire the mindset required to face my adversity head-on, to ignite motivation, kickstart aspiration. And on my 39th birthday, after 2 months of rehabilitation, day in, day out therapy, session upon session, there I stood between the physio gym ballet rails, holding on for dear life. But on this day, something came over me to just let go and walk. I took 10 beautiful steps, one foot after the other, slow, smooth and brilliant. The best 10 steps I had ever walked, the greatest distance in the shortest space. 78 days had now passed, 2 months and 2 weeks in hospital, rehabilitating. In the grand scheme of life, it's not a very long time. A turtle and hare race. Some days flashed by, others crawled. It was discharge morning. I was feeling unsure, unsettled, uneasy. I took a deep breath, steadied myself, and just like that, I walked out of hospital. Now evicted out of my previous life, the life I once knew, loved, missed, I had to find something to do, fill those empty days. In light of possibility, the hospital revelation, my brother helped me assemble my studio recording equipment. That had been in storage for a number of years while I was busy doing life. Now, I had time to return to my deepest love, music. And as simple as that is, I found my purpose. Music became my springboard, the light that divided the darkness. And I was going to grab onto it with my 1.3333 functioning hands, hold on as tight as I could and not let go. Use it as a shield to fend off depression, a weapon to fight anxiety that seemed to characterize a stroke life. In the wee hours of the morning, through to the late moments of the evening, stillness and simplicity would flow. Ideas, lyrics, melodies, appearing from nowhere, from somewhere, from anywhere and everywhere. I had to write them down, mold them into shape, develop them into existence, give them life. But I needed help. I couldn't do it on my own. Stroke stole my guitar playing skills. So I called an old musician buddy to lend a hand, a mate to collaborate. It first began with an old upright piano I bought from eBay. Delivery fee far exceeding purchase price. As I sat, my one good hand tinkering about upon the keys, playing whatever, and it just came out. Words, music, music, words. Standing too close to the fire, with my ball and chain. The first verse arrived, then followed by this: desolate, stripped of desire, with my ball and chain. Hand delivered in a neat little package of a song, a gift from the melody Lord. Can't see it clear of the rain, my ball and chain. Who's the melody Lord, I hear you ask? Try make it through every day, I can't explain. Some say I have too much time on my hands to make up nonsense like the melody Lord. Maybe so, but time, that precious thing we all have so little of, was the hidden treasure concealed behind the challenge of my adversity. And if used correctly, it would be my silver lining, Willy Wonka's golden ticket. As for the melody Lord, he visits me at night while I'm asleep, coming down from melody heaven to hum melodies into my ear. My job, when I wake, is to take those melodies and turn them into songs. I'm a melody messenger. And as the Lord continued to teleport down from melody heaven, delivering his raw tunes, those sweet hymns hummed in the dead of the night evolved into songs. They became my secret little treasures, my sparkling diamonds, bringing me back to that place I most love to be, lost in music. In those late night quiet moments, the time for reflection, as I scroll through my mind's snapshots, the hurdles, the hardship, the heartache, I pause, I ponder, I give thanks to all those challenges. Stroke had blown me out of the water, detonating beneath me, sending me hurtling into space. And music was my parachute, providing me with a safe landing. It saved my life. Hi, this is Antonio. Thank you for listening to my story. I wanted to send you this personal note, a private message to acknowledge the difficulty of what you're going through. I know, I remember. I haven't forgotten how indescribably hard it is. I often felt defeated. I wanted to give up, but please stay strong. Try to find something for yourself, something you can do to bring you some joy and happiness, no matter how little it is. Peace to you all.
Speak words, it's up to you. It's all up to you, and feel and feel so much better, so much better.
Storytelling empowers us to share our experiences in a way that invites others to reflect on their own. In closing, we offer reflection questions as an opportunity to spark dialogue with yourself, friends, family, or fellow stroke survivors. In a moment, I will read questions aloud. You can also find them written in the podcast episode description. Community conversation prompts. What helps you get through the tough times? And how do you arrange your schedule to encounter moments of joy each day?
Beyond Stillness, Stories After a Stroke is made possible by our guests and tax-deductible donations from friends and listeners like you. Join us in empowering stroke survivors with stories of wisdom, purpose, connection, and hope at www.beyondstillness.org. Another way to support is to like, share, or subscribe to our weekly show. Again, thank you for devoting time and space for this week's episode of Beyond Stillness, Stories After Stroke.
Thank you for listening to Part 1, Antonio Iannella's story, complete with music he composed and placed through the story himself. Stick with us for Part 2, Antonio Iannella's interview. Each colorful memory creates a parable for life's greater teachings, a compass for journeys ahead, and inspired wisdom for unique growth. In this episode of Beyond Stillness, Stories After Stroke, Antonio shared his inspiring journey of resilience, creativity, and hope. His story is a powerful reminder of how we can reclaim purpose and joy, even after life takes an unexpected turn. We hope Antonio's journey encourages you to find strength in your passions and to keep moving forward. Until next time, stay connected with what lights you up. And remember, as part of the stroke community, you are more than supportive. You are inspirational. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with others and consider donating to Beyond Stillness, Stories After Stroke.
If you are part of the stroke community and have a story you'd like to share on the show, please contact us. Email molly@beyondstillness.org.